Okay, we are live.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show with some dinner today. We are late in the house. This is Coach Frenchy, and we have to go all the way to the West Coast, go through Texas, Arizona, and Colorado, and coming back to the California to find our co-host Michael Devellano.
Hey, Coach Frenchie, my schedule's been nuts. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's great. At least we're going to have a great show today. We have a busy day. A lot of things happening yesterday in the NHL, from retirement to skip a season to signing new contract, hiring coaches, and finally we still status quo about the NHL for the upcoming season. But still, we have a lot on the plate. And finally, of course, we have to talk about the Colorado Avalanche as the protection list players for the before the end of the season, before the Seattle get their draft or whatever you call it. Is it a draft? Honestly, is it like a
expansion draft? Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what happening with them. But first of all, let's start like I don't know. We have so many things we have to start, but let's start with Washington Capitals goaltender Henrik Lundqvist decide to skip the upcoming season for difficult heart condition happening for the last couple of weeks after consultation with a doctor, and of course he's consulted his wife. He decided to skip this upcoming season whatsoever. He never mentioned any retirement. He did not mention anything. He's going to quit hockey. He just wants to be sure and reevaluate after a couple of months what it will be for maybe the second, 2021, 2020 season. But that's the situation with Henrik Lundqvist. That's make the Washington Capitals to figure out what is going to be the golden door number 2.
That's terrible because they just went through that, right? And then the other goalie wasn't healthy in the playoffs, was he?
Yeah, Samsonov. Yeah, he was not ready. Now he's ready to go. They have also one goaltender, and the American Hockey League is pretty good. Is it Hershey now became their affiliation team in AHL now?
I can't keep track. Like
they change so many times. It's very hard to follow everything about that. But I'm talking about the Vitek Vavicek. I don't know if you know the goaltender for them. He's 25 years old. Have a great stat last year. Peter Lavilla talked about him very like a solid goalie.
Vitek Vanacek.
Yeah, so they expect him maybe to become the goaltender number 2. But they also mentioned they are maybe looking for Jimmy Award, Mailer, Greg.
I mean, they could do that.
And that's maybe the one I believe. One of the reason I would say to you, and I agree with you, is because Samsonov is only 23 years old, right? And to be second by a young, another rookie or someone without many experience in hockey, professional in NHL.
I don't know, Peter. He's elite, right? Like let's be honest. But when your goaltender misses the playoffs for injury, that shows you need a second goalie. And then, I don't know. Like, do you bring in a Jimmy Howard? Like, he was horrible last year.
I'm talking to me about that. I think that we're helping more to get a second goaltender like them compared to a young rookie like Vanacek. I think they may be teaching him, the live of hockey become a.
I don't know him very well, so you might be right.
And I think that would be helping. I think that's not about on the what he can bring on the ice. We said he would become better to Samsonov, but I think for me, for all those goalies, what I heard also, Schneider, he should be back, maybe signed with the Islanders.
So, well, they also have Phoenix Copley, and he played 27 games a few years ago in 2019. So I think they're probably okay. But yeah, I can see their game plan was to have someone to mentor Samsonov. So maybe.
But I think if I have a choice, I would take Anderson.
I was going to say Craig Anderson. Because he's, I I think he can still play. I mean, he just was on a horrible team with no defensive structure, and
I think he can, and now we maybe not play 56 game, what I heard today. So I think he can be the one can go then, can 10,
not a
15
bad choice.
game. You know what I mean? So I think Anderson would be my pick for Washington. But again, we'll see what happening there. But it's a sad news. Hopefully, Lundqvist will be fine. And I think he's took maybe the right decision. The health is before like anything else. So I'm talking about health, and one reason why he decided to quit and become retired as a professional hockey player is Alexander Steen from the St. Louis Blues. After many years of injuries, a lower back, he decided to finally quit hockey and then retire as a hockey player. After 15 years in NHL, 12 with the St. Louis Blues, winner of the Stanley Cup in 2019, and draft 24 overall, picked by the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2002, scored over 622 points in NHL, 245 goals, is 337 assists. I think when I think about Steen, we talk about a period of 3-4 years where he scored 30 goals and 20 good goals and something like that. But I think it's a guy who was really professional, really quiet. Didn't hear a lot of bad things about him. It's I believe, and I could be wrong. You have maybe knows more because your team is Detroit. Those kind of Swedish players coming in NHL, they are well demeanor. They are well professional. They work hard. They don't hear a lot of. They are not on the highlight spot, or they are very quiet. And I don't know. I could be wrong, Mike, because you have more experience like me about those kind of.
No, I would agree with that. I think Finns might be a little different. So, like, they're very different, right? The Finns can be a little prickly, and then the Swedes are kind of like reserved and gentlemanly and do their thing, right? So sometimes they're not aggressive enough, but it's a trade-off. But there's definitely a characteristic there, like they're very good citizens.
Yep, I agree with you. And he's another one where he did very well in NHL, and we wish the best for him. But it's sad to finish always a career with your health problem.
You get old, man, and get injured.
You know what I mean? You're true about that. It's just, so we talking about news and NHL. We have a lot on against still. I was going to do my show around 6:00, and then my phone blew with a couple of message for the bodies around here in Florida, and they mentioned to me Florida Panthers signed the UFA players. Anthony Duclair for the ex Ottawa Senators for 1 year contract at $1.7 million for 1 year only. He found a new house, a new home, honestly, with Florida. I think, I believe he has the same salary, Michael, about maybe a couple more $1,000 per year, like he was with Ottawa. He scored 20 goals last year, 40 points, 23 goals, 17 assists, and 40 points. It's another where he's been a roller coaster player. I could be wrong. I don't know how I can describe really what he.
Yeah, the guy's he's washed out of a number of cities, right? So he's got a maturity issue. Maybe it kind of seems like that. You got to think that if he was off, if they could have signed the guy for $2 million, they would have kept him in Ottawa, I believe. I think he acted as his own agent, which is a terrible idea.
At this age, I agree with you.
I think that he probably was asking for $4 or $5 million, and they didn't want to pay that because they know he's risky, right? He's talented, but he's washed out of Arizona, Rangers, and now Ottawa. So we'll see. It'll be curious to see how he jives with Joel Quenneville. That'll be interesting. And that team has got a hole, right? They need some goal scoring.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I think he will be fine with Quenneville because his role is going to be more increasing or implement about what usually should not be. So he still keep his top six forward with Florida, what he was with Ottawa. So he's going to get his time. He's going to be on a power play. At the end of the day, Michael, do you prefer to have Dadonov at $5 million, or do you prefer to have Anthony Duclair at $1.7 million?
Well, okay, I mentioned two of the teams that he washed out with, the Rangers and Arizona. I forgot he was also with Chicago, and he was also with Columbus, and he was also with Ottawa. So there's something going on there. Because if you look at wherever he's played, he gets points. Like he had 23 goals last year. He had 19 the year before. He had 11. He had a down year at 5. He had 20. So the guy can play offensively. There's something else going on.
I agree with you.
I think that there's less risk in a Dadonov at $5 million, but they may have decided that, I don't know Dadonov, but we see very obviously with something's going on with Anthony Duclair.
And so someone change like this, Michael, you have other team we don't know. You know what I mean? We're not in the locker room. We're not around those players, right? But
it's just a red flag.
the guy playing NHL right now for over 6-7 years, right? And you just mentioned, 5 different teams?
Yeah. Rangers, Arizona, Chicago, Columbus, Ottawa, and now he's on his sixth team. So it's, I don't know. I don't know him. I
agree with you with that. It's not.
If you got a guy that can score 20 goals, usually you want to keep him, and he's not that expensive. And again, it's a red flag when you're representing yourself, and then they decide to walk away from 23 goals on a team that's got a real need for goal scoring.
The good news for Florida Panthers, they don't got him for 1 year, and they can reevaluate the case about him. But he needs to establish his name with permanently somewhere and get,
I hope he does, because he's a talented player.
Unfortunately, you're right about that. Talking about new signature, maybe two players did not mention about those names yesterday, because it was under Lundqvist and Steen and Duclair. Justin Bailey for the Vancouver Canucks signed a 1-year contract, no disclosure. He's a right wing. He's 25 years old.
He's gotten 25 already. That's crazy.
Yep. Think about this, right? So it's like, so he's going to, I think Vancouver need that in case something could happen. So not, bad signature. He was already with this
organization. He's a bottom 6 guy. He's a big guy. I think he's a hard worker, but I don't know if he has the skating and skills to be successful. It'll be on. Someone's got to buy into him as that role.
Exactly. And the last one I want to talk to you, maybe you know him more like me. I did not know really him well. Is the goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets, Mikhail Berdin, Berdin, is a Russian kid. He drafted from the Winnipeg at 6th round, 175 overall pick in 2016. I don't know if you know him a little bit.
Not a lot. I mean, he played in Manitoba last year. He's done his time. He came from Sioux Falls, so I think he's played in the North American system for a while. Like he played Sioux Falls in the USHL, and he had really good numbers. And he had good numbers, I thought, in the AHL. So he seems like a capable goalie. I don't know if he'll be in the NHL or the AHL. He's playing in the KHL right now, right?
Yeah. He's 22 years old. He get a contract extension, right, at $750. It's a 3-year contract. So, Winnipeg, just in case something could happen over there with Alichek and also Brassoit. Is that what? Brassoit?
Brassoit?
Yeah, Brassoit. So Berdin is going to help. Brassoit. Brassoit, whatever. So what happening there? Now I want to mention a little bit. I don't know if you know the rumor. They was talking yesterday. I don't actually what's happening, but the fact that maybe all the team in Canada is going to start their season in USA.
Oh, wow. What?
Because all the problem,
shut down, they won't cooperate.
Province over there, they are thinking maybe they cannot play, example, at that city, that province, or that province, or that province. So they are thinking about that if they want to start the season at the right time. So that's another thing about that. Brent Burke talk about he don't agree now to play 56 games with the situation with COVID. They should push back maybe another 2-3 weeks after the January 13th. That's another thing. They talked about this yesterday. They are close to an agreement tonight. The NHLPA have a conference call of the representative of each team with the commissioner. I don't know his name, like Fear.
Oh, Donald Fair, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a conference call together tonight and to see to reevaluate the situation, everything like that.
What a mess, man. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I thought that was going to be done now, but the problem they have right now, the agreement for the money, the game division is not a problem. It's all about now the restriction of what COVID is on different state and different province. That's what changed right now. They push all the decision about to announce when the season is going to return and start. So it's something we have to follow up day after day. Yeah, a lot of change could happening about that situation. Finally, I have two more things. First of all, the Chicago Blackhawks. I have three or four more things. But first of all, the Chicago Blackhawks, they decide to give a double duty for Stan Bowman as president, her business operation, and also general manager for the team for the Family Words. And finally, the Family Words decide also to announce they're not going to change their name. They're not going to change their logo like Washington did, the Redskins, and also the Cleveland Indians. They believe they always been this logo since 19 whatever it is 20 maybe, and also the name, so they don't expect to change anything at that moment. So
and I think there's a big distinction, right?
I agree with you
between calling someone Redskins, which feels like a very racist thing to say, or Indians, which they are not.
Yeah,
it's like, so I totally get that. And whereas the Blackhawk Nation, I think that they've always had a close tie to them, and it seems like it's honoring it. So maybe that's the distinction. And it's great because I think that's the most iconic. I mean, most of these native logos, just the logos, are very iconic, right? So I think people adopt them thinking that there's reverence. They're not making fun of it. They are honoring in some way the fact that, hey, this is a powerful symbol and it's tied to our team identity. Now, that being said, I wouldn't want to be on a team called the Redskins. Or
I understand your point. I agree with you about that one over there.
So I think I'm glad to see that. We don't want to wash out every native identity. I think it's important. First of all, there's a long history of native players in sports, and particularly in lacrosse and hockey. And I think it's great that we still have, something that honors them.
I agree with you about talking about the. Is it like indigenousness? How you call it?
Indigenous.
So, you remember the story about Brendan Olby?
Yeah, the mask.
About that. So he decided today with his collaboration with David Garnerson, the one create originally the mascot, to hire an indigenous artist for the new design. So I'll be honest with you. I have to applaud Olby. He make a mistake. Yeah. He apologized. Yeah, he was yes. And you know what? He come back to them. So you know what? I'm going to take someone from you guys to show to you it was not against, or it was not like a bad intention when he did that. So I have to really applaud Brendan Olby for his mistake and learn from that, and then shift, and do something like this. Honestly, Michael, this is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So talking about, do you know the story about Mitch Marner or?
Nope.
All right, Mitch Marner he was on the TSN, I believe, talking about the fact he was very happy to add new players, Wayne Simons, TJ Brody, and Joe Thornton, about the quality of the veteran.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that yesterday, right, or the day before?
Yeah, so he was very happy about that. So to bring
Yeah,
those veterans, the team, and I think he's right. I think I agree. Yeah, you're right. We talked a little bit about the fact, like, that's maybe what it takes
yeah,
learning about to become more professional, but learning
yeah.
maybe.
I think they're good moves, and I think he's right. He's at least admitting that there's a problem in that room. They were immature. It can't be like, if you are serious about being a champion, it's not that it can't be fun, but you can't just do whatever you want and play however you want, and just what you do off the ice affects you on the ice. What you do in practice affects you on the ice, for as in games. And if you want to be in the battle hardened playoffs, you know as well as I do, Pierre, that there's got to be a common thread and there's got to be an approach to get there. You can't just show up and magically perform. It doesn't work that way. It's a process.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I believe now the also said maybe Barzal he's close to sign contract now, and also Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's just a couple of days now before they sign the contract. It's something we have to follow up for sure the next couple of days, because still have Tampa. I can wait for see what Tampa is going to do, and also Las Vegas
With what?
with the salary cap situation. And they have to sign Cirelli and Zernak, and then they have to figure out something. And then already Las Vegas is over cap, 1 point something million dollars, and they have to sign one more, and then they have to figure out what they're going to do after that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's obvious they will move a Johnson and then one other player, and that probably solves a bunch of problems.
Yeah, I agree.
There was one free agent signing we didn't mention, which was Oliver Shillington from Calgary, which I think's very favorable contract. I think he'll play top 6 minutes for them, hopefully. And
which one again?
All it's about KYL Shillington, Oliver Shillington, the defenseman. He's a Swedish defenseman. He re-signed for $787
today, or
looks like it. Yeah, he's the most recent signing. But I like Oliver, so I think he's a good.
This morning, like a few minutes, maybe an hour ago, because my website it was on today, and I did not update like before the show. But I think you mentioned, and I'm sorry I cut you, because I remember when we did the exercise team by team.
Yeah,
and you was really positive about that players.
I like
Ellington.
Yeah, I don't think he's a top 2, but he's a good skating defenseman, and he's able to play positionally really well one-on-one. I think he's ready to play in the NHL, and he played 30 or 40 games last year. So I think at $787, it's a good price for Calgary. I mean, they got him for 1 year, so it'll be a kind of a prove me thing. But I don't know. I think he's made good progress. I would have thought he would have been. I think he had 48 games last year, 38 the year before. So to get a guy that's got, he's played a total of 87 NHL games for $787, that is a steal.
Yeah. He's 23 years old. He's still learning. I think the good thing about it for him, he have a chance to prove who he is, because with the departure of the Almanac and also Brody over there, we know they signed Vanek, Tanev, but still, I think he have an opportunity to be maybe a 4 over there, or 5 and 4 over there.
Yeah, I think it's, to me, he could totally play 5. He's a guy that historically they thought would be more offensive. But I think, he takes care of his own end. He can skate well, and he's a good first outlet pass defenseman. And maybe you can put him on the power play once in a while if you have to.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's great to mention that part. It's just happening a couple of, be honest with you, like he was not there on the list like 1 hour ago when I took that.
Yeah, good signing.
Yeah, so great. I agree with you. 787. It's not expensive when you think about the way he can bring for defenseman or for 5. If he make the 5, this is really cheap, Michael.
I agree. I mean, again, he played 48 games last year. He's shown he can play.
Yep. So, I think we go through all the news, the last breaking news. Honestly, that's a very good catch there. and we have to move on. What we do for the exercise during the off season is the protection list for each team. And today we are going to go to the Colorado Avalanche and see what Joe Sakic is going to do. And Michael is going to talk about this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we usually like to start with goalies. They really only have one goalie that they got to protect, which is Francouz, which is interesting because they're number one, Grubauer. You've got to think that they're going to sign this guy.
Can you go on? I can go with you, but can you check what they have on the minors?
Yeah. So we see. I mean, I don't see anybody that has to be protected. There's Josh Dickinson. Martin Kaut does not have to be protected. I don't see anything obvious. You know, Connor Timmins, at some point, if he's healthy, will make the NHL. Bo Byram, you don't have to protect. So
that's someone you have to be careful. But I think right now they have to expose the German players.
The goalie?
I think they have to expose Pavel Francouz.
I guess the thing is right now, Grubauer is unrestricted, so you've got to say man, they got to sign Grubauer, right?
Yeah, well, so
we would. I mean, if you go with the assumption he's going to be signed, he's going to get more than 3.3. He's probably 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5.
But I think I think let's go with the assumption that in net, I would agree with you. I think we're going to put an asterisk because he isn't technically signed.
Yeah.
All right, so then it brings us back to defensemen. So this is where it starts to get interesting. So if you can only protect 3 to start, I think you've got to protect Cale Makar. I don't think he's exempt, is he? There's a site that actually, let's see, where we got to find a site that tells us. I don't know if Cap Friendly tells you.
So again?
I don't know if Cap Friendly. There's one site, and I have to find it, that does tell you who the count of games. So we should probably start looking at that.
But Makar have to be protected.
I think so, right?
Because he become his 3rd year.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, so I mean, let's go with the assumption that we have to protect him. We can verify this later. Who would your second choice be?
Honestly, they have Girard is in for me.
Okay.
My book right now, they will have to. I will let it go. Eric Johnson before Ryan Graves.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying protect Graves and expose Taves and expose Johnson? I mean, we can look at the forwards next, but so you're saying Graves, which I think Graves for sure I would protect. I kind of think Girard I would protect because I know I've got Bo Byram coming. So if I lose Eric Johnson, that's terrible, but he is older. He's over 30 now. He's like 32, 33.
You know what, Michael? I don't think so. I will go with 3. I will go with 4 on that equation.
Well, that's when I think when we look at the forwards, then you got to go 4 and 4. So what you're saying is you're going to protect some pretty good, or you're going to expose some pretty good forwards.
Okay, but let's start this way.
We know we're going to protect McKinnon, right?
McKinnon and Rantanen.
And Rantanen.
Let's the guy inside are out.
Oh,
they
wait.
Are
oh, are they?
Yep.
Oh, very smart, Joe Sakic.
Yep.
So then what you're saying is you've got to either protect. Wow, that's tricky. So then Burakovsky, Kadri, Donskoy, Comfer, that becomes a lot more obvious, right? So you could protect Burakovsky and Kadri and expose everyone else.
Absolutely right. So you get Rantanen, that's 1. McKinnon, that's 2. You get Burakovsky, that's 3. Kadri, that's 4. Then I wait a little bit. I will go with Comfort.
But do you want to protect 4D? Because if it was me, I would protect 4D. I mean, you're either going to protect Johnson or Taves, unless you think the forwards are more important. I mean, you do have Bo Byram on his way, but
yeah, I agree with you about that one. I was missing one there, but Rantanen, McKinnon, Burakovsky, and now you have a choice between Kedron and Goffer.
yeah. And then we're saying UFA are Saad and Landeskog. Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
You got to like hope that they resign, or at least one of them.
They will resign Landeskog. I think they will let it go sad on that situation. And then
the question is, who's the other D? Is it Johnson, Taves, or someone else?
I will, for me, because he's $6 million, because he's going to be 34 years old, I will let it go, Eric Johnson. So I keep Girard, Toews, Grave, and McCarr.
And what we're saying is we're exposing some pretty good players. Comfer, Donskoy. Who else? Let's look here. Tyson Jost.
Michigan. Calvert is not there, is UFA.
So Nichushkin. Jost. Anyone else that's important? Calvert, we're saying, is exempt because of UFA. Wow, they're a deep team, right?
Yep.
That's probably it, right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I can't really disagree. So you said Kadri over Comfer?
It's something I'm hesitate to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But
I would protect Kadri over Comfer personally, but Kadri's what, 1990 though?
Yep.
So he's not young. He's 30.
25 Comfort.
And Comfer's 25. So Kadri's 30.
Yep.
Huh. You still stick with that?
For what Kadri does, yes.
I agree. I think you got to protect him. To me, he's a legit second line center for $4 million. It's nothing. And he can score 25, 30 goals and he hits people.
That's the point here. That's what I was going to tell you. Listen, he scored he's 18, 17, 32, 32, 16, 19 last year with 51 game. And he scored 9 goals in 15 game in playoff, Michael.
Yeah, you got to keep that guy. He takes stupid penalties and he's got to calm down sometimes. But man, he can truck people too. Like he hits very hard.
Right now he's your best second.
I think so.
Top second. Your second center in that team right now.
I agree.
Yeah, me.
So I'm pretty satisfied with that.
Yep. That's our first team now, Michael. I believe that's our first team. We have 4-4.
Maybe, yeah. And what's crazy is they're exposing some very good players.
Yep.
I mean, I think Seattle legitimately would have some challenges. Like, okay, do I want Eric Johnson? Do I want Comfer? I mean, I think that Seattle would have good players to pick from anyway.
I think they will go with Comfort.
I kind of think so too. I would agree with that because he's got some runway. He's not that old, and he can play offensively.
So my question to you: do you prefer to gave away Ryan Graves and Keith Coffer and an extra players?
Nope. I would not give away Ryan Graves.
I think the merchandise. I think on the trade, he's better to Comfort, and other players.
Yeah, he's a 6'4" defenseman who can play hard one-on-one and he gets points. He can shoot the puck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked him in the playoffs. I was quite surprised how good he was. Like for them to get him even at that point, and they got him a pretty favorable contract, I thought.
Definitely. No, that's a good news there. I think it's pretty good with the great size. Colorado, when you lose a player like this, whatever it is, it's because you have depth, because you sell a team. You're the reason why you may be the top 5 team right now in NHL, and that's really what I believe.
They got more coming here. They got more. They got Bo Byram. Like Bo Byram.
What could happen the next couple of months? What they could create, or they could change, we can go add, because the situation maybe make a long run of playoff, or maybe prepare their draft for Seattle at some point also. That's maybe they can maybe pick a goaltender with more experience and then keep Franz Cons, or they can get another player forward and skip. They cannot skip Comfort right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Seattle finally, because we've seen a lot of teams where there's just nothing to pick from, which is very different than last time.
Yeah,
I think that you got some choices there. I like Comfort. He could play second line minutes if he has to, and he's good third line. He can kill penalties, and he got some offense. Like that would be a good young player for Seattle.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's make another great show today. With a lot of couple of days, maybe a week, we didn't do a lot of stuff around NHL. To be honest with you, it was very quiet. More is coming for the next couple of days, but I think right now we also start Monday to focus on the World Junior Championship. It's coming next week, December 25th. We heard this morning 8 players for the German got positive, and 2 more from the Sweden this morning. So it'll be very interesting how this can turn around, honestly. But
what a nightmare!
Yeah, that's another open door where I think NHL. I wouldn't be surprised they can start at the end of at the beginning of February.
Well, I mean, again, are they sick? Because I think what we're seeing is so think about this analogy. So they're doing PCR testing, and it's very sensitive. And how do you know it's sensitive? Because PCR testing is the testing that USANA uses for steroids and for performance-enhancing drugs. And we see a lot of players that aren't actively using performance-enhancing drugs that test positive for stuff. And we see in the UFC, for example, there's fighters that are using supplements and they get tainted, right? So I'm not saying this is performance-enhancing, but at some point there has to be, is this really a threat to the person's health? Are they symptomatic or asymptomatic? And what's the test level? Like, is there number 30 or is it 50? Because there's a difference. And it's not that you want to expose them to anybody else. I get that.
No, the problem I always said, like, they might not get sick or they are mild syndrome. The problem is, like, because they got positive, they go on left side and you go on the jail for 14 days. Like, that's my point here, right? I believe, and I agree with you, you should get like a kind of level 1, name whatever is the level, right?
Yeah. Well, there is a number.
1, 2, and 3, and if you not reach number 3, only level 1, maybe 3 days. And
that's what I'm saying. I agree. It's like, you're isolated. Okay, now you've got 2 negative tests, and your load goes from 30 to 10. Like we have to be smarter about this.
Yeah, I
don't want to pass it to anybody. Like, there's got to be the tests are scientific enough. I think they could figure that out.
Now,
what do I know? I don't know. We got to figure out how to live with this. We can't keep shutting everything down.
No, I would turn around and ask a question to you: is what happening if start tomorrow until the next 3 weeks, every players in NHL they got their vaccination?
Well, so then here's the question: are they really immune? Because what I keep hearing is that you need more than one shot to be immune. And then how do you assess if they are immune? Are you just saying, oh, they got the 2 shots, they're immune?
But that, yeah, I will have to go, Michael.
Are you going to be equally draconian and go, well, you're not immune even though you got the shot?
Yeah.
Or you only got one of the 2 shots. You got to wait another 6 weeks or 8 weeks for the second shot.
Exactly.
What's also we're hearing is that the people in trials and the nurses and doctors that are getting it early, a lot of them are getting sick on the second shot. They're having symptoms. Now that doesn't mean they have the virus, but then you've got real side effects. So I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I know.
Maybe the best way is just to let them sit it out.
Yep.
And then they're immune, right? Like theoretically, it's like, oh, you've already had it. So maybe that is the best. Maybe we're just I'm thinking too much about it, but it's frustrating for everybody, I think.
The thing, like, maybe the people in NHL, like some people, doctor, whatever they are,
they're pretty smart.
Really, when they're going to hit January 13 or January 20 or 28, whatever the day, they know what they're going to be and they know what they can do. You have a bit better protection. Where right now we only see the increasement, the number of positive. So
positive tests. Yeah.
So
again, I guess there's a lot of it's complex. I will admit. It's just I think the NHL of everybody did a great job last time, but they know they don't want to lock down, and I'm sure that they're sharing that information with World Juniors, and maybe this is the way you go, right? They're positive, you can't play until you're.
Right. I think you said something really pay me more attention about it's more complex of what we think, and
Absolutely.
the tech is very complex. Pushing the date of the announcement of the upcoming season. Because if it was not complex, Michael, they would say, you know what, we start January 3rd. You know what I mean? Like, I would be more. But they have an agreement for at least over 1 week now about the division, about the game. Now they just to figure out what they can do to be sure they are safe about the.
Yeah, and we want people to be safe, so we're not saying that. I think it's just like, because they're not, I don't know. They're smarter than I am. I just get frustrated like everybody else.
So I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to take a plane at 4 o'clock today.
I just came back from Texas. I'm fine.
My first time I'm back on the plane. I don't understand, but look like I'm in the middle of the road. Is it possible? Is it possible?
Yeah, they're sitting people next to each other. It's crazy.
How they can do that when they said 6 per feet?
Good question.
Wow.
Good question. Because I mean, we were on the plane and we sat up front, and what's crazy is the business class and the first class were empty. They were like it was just my wife and I, and then there was a person there and a person there. And if you look behind, everybody was packed in. So they made an announcement. They go, we're observing social distance. We encourage you to, but you might be seated next to somebody. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to be. They should at least. It could be wrong. At least to not put anybody in the middle seat of 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the guy that by you.
Oh my God. What airplane are you on?
It's just a Spirit right now.
Oh my God, they're just gonna give you the virus before you get on. I'm just gonna say, just let me cough in your face before you get on. This is our system.
We'll see what happens in there, but I'll be back.
Enjoy Dallas.
So let's move on to Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks to be on, and I will see you Monday morning at 11 o'clock, maybe Eastern time. We'll see what happens with us.
Well, if you want to do something on the weekend to catch up, I'm down from Saturday and Sunday. You tell me.
I believe I have games Saturday, Sunday. That's
because you got the Dallas.
But maybe during the day we can go back one day.
Tell me I'm free.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks, Michael.
Bye.